Hey there, and welcome to episode 19 of the Hub of Junior Golf podcast. I'm Ryan Bird, joined as always by the founder of the Junior Golf Hub, Roger Nick. And Roger, a lot to discuss. A special guest today from the AJGA, kind of the certainly the biggest brand in junior golf right now. And I think we'll get some answers to a lot of questions in regards to how do you play, how difficult is it to play? Or there's some new scenarios to try to be a little more inclusive and just kind of find out where the AJGA is heading into 2024 and some different things that they will be rolling out. I do want to start with an amazing story from this weekend of perseverance. After Memorial, Lucas Glover pretty much admitted that he had the putting yips for 10 years on the PGA Tour, 10 years. And he had managed to somehow continue to keep his card just because he really is one of the all-time great ball strikers, but just could not putt a lick. He ordered the Adam Scott style long broomstick putter, trying to get that a little more swing to the putter. Obviously, with the yips, there's no swing. It's very jabby and yippy. And really, since adopting that putting method, he's been a top 10 machine, and then he finally breaks through this week and actually wins Wyndham, which actually propels him into the FedEx Cup playoffs, into the top 70. And I would not be surprised if that guy worked his way all the way to the Tour Championship at East Lake. The ball striking has never been in question, and to see him confident putting, Roger, it's a sight to be seen.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this guy hits it better than anybody out there. And for him to be struggling, I just wonder what's going in, through his mind, right? I mean, he's got to be thinking, boy, if I could just putt, or did he switch it over to going, man, I can actually putt now. And that propels him to obviously to win this week. So yeah, a lot of fun to see that. I know during his post-win interview with Amanda, he was talking about how even last year in this very event, he was coming down the stretch paired with who was he paired with this week, Ryan, on the Sunday? I mean, he was paired with the same person. Yeah, so he was paired with the same, and he's like, he 3 or 4 putted from like a few feet. He goes, I just didn't know where the hole was. It was like, so it was such a great experience to not have to think of that way anymore, that he's going to miss a 3-inch putt. So could you imagine?
First time in his career, Roger, he gained strokes putting in all 4 rounds of an event. First time in his career, and he's in his mid-40s, and he's won a lot. Pretty incredible. That happening on the PGA Tour. Over on the LIV Tour, some excitement. A 58 from Bryson DeChambeau. I'm not sure many people heard about it. In the history of if a tree falls in the woods, does it make any noise? That was as quiet a 58 as anything we've ever seen. It got zero attention.
Zero attention, and it's a shame because apparently it was just so impressive and it could have been better, right? I mean, you read some of the now stories that just popped out, today, this afternoon, talking about it. It just was apparently an incredible round of golf. It is an incredible round of golf, 58 on any tour. I don't care where it is. At that level, what a great round of golf.
Greenbrier had a 59 before Stuart Appleby. But what is interesting, and I know you're a proponent of LIV and everything they're doing, and certainly with the Saudis, they have unlimited money. I will say, though, they do have a problem if something doesn't change, because they've got great players. They're doing great things. They play some great golf courses, but nobody cares. Roger, nobody cares.
Brian, I don't know. I care a little bit. You're the one. I admit, I care a little bit, just because it's golf and I see what's going on. Maybe I feel like a little different here. I just see this is going to expand the opportunities for golfers out there in the world. I think it's already, we're seeing an effect at the junior level in the sense of, hey, what if I get good enough to be in college, play in a great program? There's other opportunities that I can jump and have an opportunity to play for even more serious money, if you will, right? I mean, think about this kind of money they're playing for now. That money that's going to be there in the next year or two, if not longer, is going to give more of these players that going into college golf a reason to say, I want to stick it out, right? I mean, or I don't go to college. There's a choice. I now can leverage my talents against something else.
There's no doubt in that aspect. I'm 1,000% behind you on that. I will say these non-designated events this week at Wyndham, no one really in the Sam Burns, I think only guy in the Siwoo Kim, only in the 2 guys in the top 20. And it just absolutely destroys LIV in television. I mean, it's not even like they're not even the same sport when it comes to what the rating is. Now, one is obviously on CBS.
Right.
And one's on the CW, but all those great stars that LIV paid for are playing, and people are choosing to watch non-stars on the PGA Tour. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of people are watching that as opposed to the other. We do welcome in Riley Tracy from the AJGA to the Hub of Junior Golf Podcast. Thanks so much for joining Roger and I today. Riley, how are you?
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good.
Wonderful. This kind of has become the gold standard of Junior Golf Podcasts. The reception, the response has been amazing, as it is the largest, Riley, body of players in America. There are more junior players than there is any other metric. And it is relatively, as far as information, an underserved community. So we're happy to step in and fill that void. The response has been spectacular, and we're excited to talk to a representative from the AJGA to tell us a little bit about where you guys are, where you're going, what some of the plans are. For so many of our listeners and viewers, certainly from age 8 to 18, many of them are in all different aspects of their junior career. For sure, some have played AJGAs and are realizing their dream of receiving college scholarships and are going to go play at the next level. Others are just beginning this journey, Riley. So why don't you, for those people in the audience, why don't you tell the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old parents that are all in on this junior golf journey, what the AJGA is and what they can expect when they start to play it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thanks again for having me. The AJGA is a fantastic organization, both internally to its staff and as well for the people that we serve, the sponsors that we have, the juniors and parents that we have the ability to interact with. And our membership is growing. And so I have the privilege of overseeing our player services department, where we have 5 other currently full-time staff members, 2 extra in the summer, that are dedicated to answering those questions, helping families, players navigate junior golf, how to play with us. We operate a little bit differently than some of the other events out there, but to help them understand, if you're on this journey, what can we do to help you progress, and know that we certainly have a lot of the top players that play with us, but we have a wide variety of players, and we have opportunities for virtually every different skill level to be able to come and play and have that experience of national junior golf, and an opportunity to progress as well. And so, when we have a new member or prospective members that call in, we basically take as much time as they need to take them down that path of, what are your goals as a player? Where are you looking to go? Are you looking to stay somewhat local? Are you looking to travel? And then what is that base level event for us? And so, with the idea that as you're going to progress with the AJGA, our model is one that's built on performance. As you do well and play well, then that's hopefully going to help to lead to more and more opportunities. And so we have a base level of events that's designed for a brand new member. That's based on graduation year. And so typically those take place in the spring. And we do have a few of them in the summer as well, knowing that there are some players with school schedules that may not be able to start to the until the summer. And so as a way to help them, get that national experience at the base level and come and play a 36 hole event. Some of them are 54, to be able to see where they are, and generally those are going to be made up of brand new members that start out with us, and you start there and then progress from there. So
a brand new player is guaranteed when they come in to get that first start.
We would hope they'd be guaranteed, but obviously spots are limited. We may have some that we're hoping, to be able to accommodate that goes oldest to youngest. So a full age range event, 12 to 19, we're going to cater to that oldest player first, who may be joining late. They may be this year a 23 graduate, which there are still some, 23, 24 graduate. Our hope is that we're able with those to accommodate all of those players who start. And in most of them, we're able to do that. We have seen in the past couple of years, just with the increased demand of golf, that in some of them we may not be able to initially, but we do tend to get quite a ways down an alternate list as well for those. And so one of the neat things that we did started in 2022 is that we also have qualifying events for those as well. And so somebody who's brand new, if they're not able to get in directly to the tournament itself, more often than not, we're also going to have an 18-hole qualifier for that event as well, and that's going to provide an opportunity for them to play their way in. And we have a qualifier. I think we have over 102 of them this year associated with those types of events, other types of events as well for players who can't get in directly to the field to come and try to play their way in. And that's a great avenue that they can take with them, whether they're trying to qualify for another national junior tournament, for their high school team, for a college team as well, to be able to travel. And so taking that experience of starting there, progressing into the tournament, and then depending on where you finish, hopefully that'll afford more and more opportunities. But that's the base level, and then from there we get into our next level of events, which are called junior all-star events, open tournaments, which use a system which is called performance-based entry as a priority system to help players with the highest priority get in, and at the same time, if they're not able to get in directly, a qualifier being there is a way to help them play their way in, and so that's what we talk through players and parents with. And sometimes it takes one great finish, that may be all it takes, the difference of one shot, and you're off and running. It's really neat to see players that and families that have a desire and can see success in that. And some of the neatest times, especially are those where the player is involved as well, and they can take ownership of that process, because it's a lot for as a parent. It's a lot to navigate any sports for kids and activities. But if you can get a family that has their player that is understanding, willing to call in, take advice, and make it their own, it's pretty neat to see on them progress.
Hey, Riley, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's some great information. And while we're talking about P.B.Es and especially, one of the questions that we get quite often from parents is, okay, I haven't signed up for the AJGA yet, but and I'm playing some local events, and they see the P.B.Es are important for AJGA events. Do they get or receive P.B.E points playing in other events that may be designated to get those points if they're not signed up with the AJGA, or do they have to sign up for the AJGA first and be a member in order to get those or receive those points?
That's a great question. They don't need to be a member. So we have outside the AJGA now over 1,000 different ways throughout the country where players can play and earn status with us. And we have some great performance-based entry partners around the country that are in charge of kind of managing those accounts, submitting results to us. And then we have, as part of my team, a staff member who oversees that process. And so an account can be created for them if they've earned status with us. And they don't They don't have to pay for that at all. And at various times throughout the year, we will then, for anyone who earns status with us, we'll have an email associated with that account. We'll reach out to them and just let them know, hey, you've earned some status with us. Here's some steps that you could go through. If you decide to join, here's some events in your area, but call us to make sure that it's the right fit. For you to start on that journey. But yes, we have plenty of members who can earn a substantial amount of status, both before and while they are playing with us outside the AJGA.
Yeah, I'm going to follow up on that question just one bit. So let's say, for an example, we have a player who has played in many events that offer P.B.Es and are not a member of the AJGA, but have earned enough points, obviously, to play and sign up for an event. Can they play in the event given the fact that they have enough P.B.Es as a non-member of the AJGA, or do they, again, have to sign up to be a member? Because I think that is a question a lot of times parents are on the fence of, well, they've already signed up for 5 different tours because they have to, right, to play. And then all of a sudden they get their player gets good enough for, and they earn these P.B.Es. And do they have to sign up for the AJGA to play in that event?
Sure. Great question as well. So in order to play in an actual tournament or apply to a tournament, you do have to be a member. In order to do that, we do have a free non-member ID. Occasionally in our qualifier events, we may have some spots left over for players to play in a qualifier as a non-member. But in an actual tournament, you would have to join as a member. One of the neat things that we've done as well, and one of a major announcement this year was the addition of the Liberty National ACE Grant, which the ACE Grant program has been in existence since before I've been here, but it's been a fantastic financial assistance program that's been able to reimburse thousands of junior golfers who have the talent to play at a national level, but just not the funding to be able to do that. And so and we encourage all of our families, if it's if you're willing to play and would accept a scholarship to play in college, apply for financial assistance. We want to be there to be able to help you do that. And with that program, they can actually apply for that without being a member. They can sign up for a non-member ID, which is free. They can go through the process of applying for financial assistance and get an answer from our team that manages that process to say, okay, here's how much you would qualify for reimbursement for this season. And it's helped. There's a couple of years ago where both of our players of the year were part of that Liberty National ACE Grant program, which is neat to see those players be able to showcase their talent nationally. And we actually implemented another, realm or aspect of that program this year, where a player who's a part of that program, when they get into an event, they can basically pay out of their funds to be able to pay their entry fee. So they don't come out of pocket for the actual entry fee for events, whereas in the past they would do that and get reimbursed. But for the actual entry fees, it comes out of their ACE Grant fund.
Now, certainly the AJGA at the absolute highest level, it is the ultimate in junior golf. I mean, you're looking at an Akshay Bhatia who just won on the PGA Tour that went directly from the AJGA to the professional ranks. And it's certainly not for everyone. Akshay had an amazing junior career, and I actually interviewed him pre-round on the golf course Thursday this week at Wyndham, and just talked about how he has matured and the changes he's made from junior golf. But certainly that is the highest level. Your Rolex kind of guys are Division I, Power 5 players that want to play the tour. I want to start, though, Riley, with the preview. That is to play a preview, and I believe I'm right on this, but it may have changed. That is for players that have never played an AJGA event only. Is that correct?
In general, those are the ones who can apply to those events. Yeah, it's meant to be the first tournament playing opportunity for someone. So there's some other criteria that comes into play, but basically if someone hasn't played a 36-hole event with us in the current or previous year, that's really going to be the target person for that series. And so when we added qualifiers to those events last year, we actually did open up those qualifiers nationally. So any of our members can apply to play in a qualifier for a preview event, knowing that, the top players they're beyond that series. They're not going to come and play. But, we occasionally heard.
But is that Riley? Is that to fill a field, or is that why would you have done? And I want to get the message to our listeners that it's not as hard as you think to get in an AJGA event, because that first one, it really is designed for you that has never played before. And if you just do the math of players, there are a lot less players that have never played than are already playing your event. So you would think, just by the numbers, that they'd have a pretty good chance of getting into a preview event. With the qualifier system, for someone that's played 3-4 AJGA events that wants to play in a preview, who gets the nod to fill the field?
Well, yes. So in a qualifier, it would be based on current year opportunities. And so, that brand new player still going to have, the highest chance to get started. The reason that we expanded it nationally was exactly to your point of being able to fill those qualifiers. We didn't want to have preview qualifiers that didn't fill, and have spots that are left. And so we wanted to still be able to serve, our entire membership. We heard, at times from players who maybe they played a little bit last year, they didn't do quite as well, and they were in the future shut out of a preview series tournament. And so by allowing them the potential to qualify their way in, they may have an event that's down the street that they say, wow, we have this event, I don't have to travel to it. I can't apply to the tournament because I'm not eligible directly to apply, but I could try and go and try to play my way in through a qualifier or try to earn status that way. And so it's been a great way to be able to service our entire membership through those qualifiers, but still allow the message of that preview series to be, in general, that first playing opportunity tournament wise for those players. And it's neat to look back as well and see some of the players, who are doing very well now on the PGA Tour that started the AJGA in a preview series tournament and maybe didn't do quite as well. And so we share those stories a lot with our parents who think that, they have to be great when they come into the AJGA. And Patrick Cantlay is one of our best examples of a player who started and did not do very well, and he played a preview series tournament to start out, and we know where he is now. But to see, he didn't give up after that. That was golf at a national level, and he took off. But he didn't start at the top, and so that's a neat message to be able to share to players and parents that it's a journey, and we're not only going to care about the top players. It's about, those players who are starting. They may only play once with us, but we want to make sure that they're going to have a fantastic top level experience when they play with us.
Riley, speaking of that, and that's a great story with Patrick Cantlay, and there's so many of those, I'm sure. What is the average tournaments played by an AJGA member? If you can share, because I know there's a lot of people that say, well, if you're not playing in 6, 7, 8 events, and we know there's a cap there too. But tell the audience a little bit about kind of an average. If you see most of the kids who do sign up and become a member, because they want, I think they also want to say is, what is the value do I get as well? So.
Yeah, certainly. So, certainly as with it being a performance-based system, those players who end up being in the top 1 to 200, they're going to play quite a bit more because that's going to afford more opportunities, especially in invitationals. And so you'll see a lot of those players, they may play 6 to 10 times per per season. On average, our member is going to play 1 to 2 tournaments a year. They'll add in some qualifiers as well to that. But we, certainly on the qualifier level, there are certainly pockets of the country where we get a huge number of applications for qualifiers, but we've had families that on a year-to-year basis, they may play over 10 qualifiers a year. And looking for those spots that may not, may be off the beaten path a little bit, but be able to get in and get that experience. And I remember seeing someone last year who was one of the top players in qualifiers, played 8 to 10 qualifiers, and he ended up qualifying in 2 times, and so he can take that, get the tournament experience, and hopefully move on for the better from there, from being able to have that.
Now, I think one of the things that is also coming up too for us, as obviously college is expanding, the rosters are expanding to not only domestic players but international players. Now, you guys, as the AJGA, have had plans to maybe expand your reach. Tell us a little bit about, are there opportunities outside of the U.S. borders, if you will, for kids who are trying to experience AJGA events?
Yeah, there certainly are. There's it's called the International Pathway Series, which is really in its infancy right now. But we also ran a couple tournaments of our own internationally this year, one in Panama, one in Bermuda as well. And so it is, our international membership makes up about 10% of our membership. It's certainly starting to come back after COVID, but trying to find a way that we can partner with the right organizations who have the right heart to serve junior golf on a worldwide basis. And so it's something that we're walking before we run to identify some of those strategic partners that have relationships in various countries. And so there have been a couple that have been played already, one in China, one in Colombia. And certainly we have, people here at the AJGA who are fielding, those requests and working through them. As a way to help some of those international players who want to come to the U.S. And give them an opportunity to potentially get in an actual tournament and see how they do.
Riley, is that a slippery slope? I mean, obviously the acronym is the American Junior Golf Association. The feedback that we've gotten from some of our listeners is they're not exactly happy that spots are being taken up from kids from China and Thailand and other places that they have their own junior golf there and their system. How do you guys walk that path of being the American Junior Golf Association, and then spots in some of your events are going to international players?
Sure. Well, we've had international members for a long time, and we've had members that have come over, whether they go to an academy here or spend part of the summer in the States. And so certainly that's some feedback that we hear from time to time as well. But the golf ultimately takes care of itself, and so whether they're playing in events internationally to earn status with us or coming here, they still have to play well. And so, those are players that, if they have a desire to play college golf, they're going to, there's many of them that are playing college golf as well. And so American players are going to have to play against them as well. And so, we want to be a platform for junior golfers, whether they're from the United States or worldwide, that, want to experience golf at the highest level and progress. And so, certainly it's, we understand, some of those issues that come with it. And that's certainly why we're walking before we run as well, doing it in a smart way. And hopefully the junior golf landscape will be better in the long run because of it.
Yeah, that's great. Riley, if we had one last thing to say, or you had one last thing to say to the audience of the AJGA, what would that be? It'd
certainly be to let them know that, we as the AJGA are here to help them. We certainly realize that we're not the only path for those junior golf families. We've been in existence for a long time. And we have a heart for serving junior golf families and their parents. And so, for those who, have a desire to play golf at a national level, want to play college golf, and if you have questions before you decide to join, certainly call us. We have a staff that is available to answer calls. I know in this day and age of customer service, you may get stuck on hold other places for 20, 30 minutes. We, pride ourselves on that we're available, within usually 20 to 30 seconds, you're going to get somebody who's going to spend time with you to make sure that it's the right fit for you, that you have the tools that you need to succeed, whether it's with us or outside the AJGA.
Riley, can I just hit you with a couple more questions? Do you have a minute or no?
Yeah, no, all good. Yeah.
Great. For sure, the AJGA is the absolute, everyone in junior golf, whether you're just starting or you're at the end, everyone understands that the goal is to play as many AJGAs as possible, because that is the clear best pathway to the top level of amateur golf. There's really no other way to put it. So that's why we're so happy to have you on. I do want to get into the ages, just because I already know that's the immediate questions that I'm going to get, which then we'll have to send to you. So I'll hit you with a couple rapid fire, but is there an age that you can start, and does the AJGA provide for younger divisions, or is everyone in the same division?
Sure. Great question. So our minimum age is 12. You need to be 12 by the start of the event. We recognize outside the AJGA with those performance-based entry events, we do recognize several events at the 11-year-old level. And so players that are looking to start, maybe in the future, they can go on our website, find 11-year-old divisions that could potentially help them as they start with the AJGA. And so we really have two age ranges at the AJGA, 12 to 15, which we just implemented a slightly different age eligibility for our younger age divisions now. It is 12 to 15. You have to be no older than 14 on January 1st in order to be eligible for that series. And so there's the 12 to 15-year-old age division, and then 12 to 19. And so with that one, you have to be 18 or younger on January 1st. And so the majority of our events are 12 to 19-year-old events, just one division. The other events that we have are 12 to 15, just one division. So we don't offer events where they're split. A 12 to 15, a 12 to 19. So it's one or the other. But we do have at the 12 to 15-year-old level, we have over 20 to 25 tournaments nationally. Those would all have qualifiers as well.
And those, if you're on the website, that's still the Junior All-Star Series?
Correct. That's right. Ninja Junior All-Star Series.
When you're going through the schedule, if you're 12 to 15, obviously, if you can get into an open, that's great. But if you are looking for something in that age bracket, you want to look specifically for the Junior All-Star. That is the 12 to 15. Is that accurate?
It is, yes. And we do also have a few tournaments in the preview series that are offered for 12 to 15-year-olds. And so, on that notion that you were talking about early about, the difficulty of getting into events and dispelling that myth. So we have several at the Junior All-Star age level where we actually were able to accommodate everybody who applied into tournaments and qualifiers for sure. We had plenty of those, but we had some even at the tournament level where they may not have gotten in initially, but we were able to reach them through the alternate list. And so it's a great way, especially if you're younger, getting started. It may be in a qualifier, but that'll give you the opportunity to come and try to play your way in and start on that path of progression.
And then quickly, boys and girls, we should point out that none of them are mixed, are they, or some mixed? Most of them are.
Most of them are mixed. We will have a few events that'll be just boys or just girls, but the majority of the events that we operate are going to be a boys division, girls division.
and all those opportunities that we have been discussing, that is equally on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, our membership breakdown is pretty much about 70% boys, 30% girls. We try to mirror that in our opportunities. The girls actually are higher than that, and see a lot, especially at the girls level and the younger girls level as well, different parts of the country. It's almost easier to get started, as a young girl junior golfer to get going.
Riley, do you have on those, are there limits to field sizes? I mean, I know obviously that a lot of times course conditions are that, they have limits of what you can. So if a parent, sometimes we get the question of, well, I couldn't get into the event, but the field only had so many players. So do you guys limit most of your fields, or is this kind of flexible based on the arrangement with the golf course?
Yeah, a lot of it will depend on the arrangement with the golf course. I'd say the majority of the events that we have are going to be 78 total players. Typically that'd be around 51 boys, 27 girls. But we do have, depending on the relationship with the golf course and how they're able to manage that experience, we may go up to 96. There are some as well that would be 132 with two waves, a morning and an afternoon wave, and those certainly are ones that we try to highlight, to our members as a way that hey, we're able to accommodate a lot more players. So potentially look at those, and especially if they have a qualifier with them as well, that might be a great opportunity for one to look at and try to start at.
Riley Tracy, Vice President of Player Service with the AJGA. Incredible information. My son played a ton of AJGA. I can't recommend it highly enough. The pace of play, the friendships that they make, the activities even off the golf course is second to none. And I hope that I know, Riley, that you answered a lot of questions that viewers and listeners around the world that listen to this podcast now have a better understanding. So we can't thank you enough. I know we kept you a little long, but that's just because we had so many questions for you. So appreciate and thank you, and you and the AJGA for everything you guys do for junior golf, and appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much, Roger and Ryan, both. It was a great opportunity. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks, Riley. Thanks.
And no doubt about it, Roger, that it really is certainly all of our listeners do understand that, if you want to play at the highest level competition-wise, certainly the AJGA does get the best players. Will that change in the future? It's tough for anyone to stay on top forever, but certainly they've managed to do it, and the way they run their events is a big reason why.
No doubt. I mean, actually, as we're speaking, Ryan, we were hosting an event, AJGA event here in North Salem, as the GPC AJGA Junior Open event. It's so incredible to see all these players, young players, come from everywhere, play these events. And, they run so well. To be a part of it is always exciting and fun. But Riley did a great job of answering a lot of those questions, because I know you and I field these all the time, so hopefully our audience will appreciate those answers. So
yeah, no doubt about it.
We'd love to hear that. So that's great.
And if we didn't keep the comments coming, we will probably in the next couple of weeks we will do an answer segment. So if you have any questions, not only about the AJGA but really any of our podcasts in the last month or so, go ahead and put those comments in. In the next couple of weeks, we will have a segment where Roger and I go through and try to answer to the best of our ability, just so you guys do have a better understanding of the path moving forward. Certainly, college golf is something that isn't for everyone, but for many of our listeners, especially at the young age, that is something that they are interested in. Tell us a little bit about, especially coming off of the AJGA interview, how the Junior Golf Hub can help that process, especially at the early stages.
Yeah, Ryan, the Junior Golf Hub, again, back to it's a great educational resource tool that if you're trying to find tournaments out there that you want to play in, whether it's a junior all-star to open and invitational, it's all there. Create your tournament schedule there. Look for other events if you're looking for events to get PBEs. We have a PBE schedule there as well for events and other tours that offer that. So
we probably should have mentioned what PBE is and what that means if you've never done the AJGA and how the hub can highlight that. Can you explain?
Yeah, so performance-based entries, really it's about getting, yourself in a position to earn points to get into field for the AJGA. So I think he tried to explain, or he did go through a little bit of, there are other tours that offer, they have other like 1,100 different, opportunities there that you can play in different events, i.e. like a Met PGA 36-hole event, they offer a PBE. NB3 series event, a regional event will have PBEs, or a national event. So there is opportunities out there for players to earn those entry points.
In the hub, just from going back to that educational system, because you just said there's thousands of events for sure. Every single regional on the No to Big A Junior Tour offers performance stars to the AJGA, but to negotiate through 1,000 different tours or events and find out if they're any close to you.
Yep.
The fact that the hub can do that, I can't thank you enough. And I mean, that is a gigantic burden that the hub handles so the parent doesn't have to.
Yeah, it's a great filter. I mean, if you're looking for events, I mean, all you got to do is type in PBE entries, so it shows a calendar, it shows a whole map of the U.S. that we're in, these events are. So yeah, it's a great tool for that, and putting it on their calendar, sending those things. Once you get those events into your calendar, sending that to a college coach, you can do that right there in the Junior Golf Hub. So we've got over 2,000 college coaches on. We've got 1,100 very active coaches of programs there that are looking for these young men and women who are playing events. So make sure you take advantage of that tool. Go to juniorgolfhub.com. Check it out.
Maybe a quick story, Roger, of a player that uses the hub, a coach that uses a hub, and how they ultimately became acquainted, and then it went on and actually became where one of your hub users is going to play for one of the coaches on the hub.
Yeah, I actually, funny, I just ran into a coach yesterday at the event, at the qualifier, at this open event at Salem, and the coach was there. Coach at Quinnipiac, coaching, looking for young women. The boys program is not operational at this point, but he does the women's. And John was just telling me, it's like, man, this tool has been so incredibly useful for me. Over the last few years, he's been able to find these girls who are just late bloomers, goes on and looks at their schedule, see what they're playing. Some of them have only played in an AJGA event, maybe not even, but have done really well in other events. And he's just like, hey, if I didn't have this tool, I would have found some of these girls who've helped them win their conference championships the last 3 years in a row, I believe.
Pretty amazing.
So he loves the tool. A lot of coaches say the same thing. They were just finding talent that they would have never been able to discover if it wasn't there. So really cool.
Great story. And obviously you as a parent, the fact that the coaches are shopping the hub looking for players, that doesn't get much better than that. So
exactly.
Certainly we thank Riley Tracy from the AJGA for all that information. And if you have more questions, by all means, definitely put them on the message bar. And as I said, Roger and I will take a look and go over a few questions from the last couple podcasts. So great show, Roger. Great seeing you. Good luck.
Great seeing you
out at the Open. Thanks for everything the hub does to sponsor events around the country. We know that has been a huge part of success of junior golf. So for Roger, Nick, I'm Ryan Burr. This has been episode 19 on the Hub of Junior Golf Podcast.